You don't have to have music on to enjoy a disco ball.
I'm Austin.
And I'm Cloud.
This is We Watch Movies. This week's movie is Hitman Agent 47. Agent 47 is a 2015 action crime thriller film directed by Alexander Bach, starring Rupert Friend, Hannah Ware, Zachary Quinto, Sirianna Hines, Thomas Kretschmann, and Angel Baby. How about a plot synopsis?
So, you have Agent 47, who's on a mission to kill two targets. One being one of the anti-agents, the Syndicate, which is never a good thing. They send Sylar out, and he's all filled with some kind of titanium shit. So there's this hunt for this woman. They find the woman, and then she ends up switching hands between the Syndicate and the agent. They uncover some stuff. They find out who she really is and why she seems to be tripping balls all the time. She gets a little bit of training, then becomes like suddenly super badass, and then explosions and people getting shot, and then just a lot of stuff that doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm. Like a lot of stuff.
Like a lot. Like the other Hitman movie was not as good. Like make-wise, it seemed a lot lower budget than this one, but there weren't as many weird plot holes.
Well, I think the sort of biggest problem overall, because there are many, many holes in it.
And we're not talking about the bullet holes.
Yeah. And this is usually important in a movie, who is this movie about?
Yeah.
Like, who is it about? Is it about Agent 47? Is it about the girl? Is it about the bad guys? Or is it about the agency that Agent 47 works for? Like, whose side are we on? Because I don't know. And it changes, like, from scene to scene. I mean, eventually, we're not on the Syndicate side. But for a while, maybe we are. And we're never really on Agent 47's side because he might kill her at some point if it becomes the thing that simplifies the situation for him. It's just like, I don't know.
She was one of the original two targets that he was to eliminate.
Yeah.
Like, he was supposed to eliminate her, and he was supposed to eliminate the Zachary guy. Zachary Quinto, is that how you pronounce his name?
Yeah. Or John, or Brian, or whatever his character's name is, because that changes also.
I don't know, I was trying to think of something witty, like a mixture of Spock and Skylar, like Spyler.
Yeah. It's
it's like, that's like, oh, like I shot him 4 times. Why didn't he die? Because, they should have saved the cheerleader.
I did. I kept thinking that too. It's like, oh, so like shooting him doesn't work. Well, and I just kept thinking of Heroes, which I kind of felt bad for because I'm like, all right, he's been acting a long time. I shouldn't hold him to that character. But
no, that's what they did. They really did. They're like, here, let's take this guy and then put him in the exact same situation where he seems to change personalities from someone friendly to someone who seems to be very hauntingly villainous, and then we're going to make him near indestructible, and we have to go really far out of our way just to kill him, and he still doesn't die.
Well, he does by the end,
until the credits roll and there's like, oh yeah, he's still alive. Like, how?
Well,
like, just because they put like some kind of titanium alloy underneath the skin doesn't make him electricity proof.
No.
Like, what if he got shot in the eyeball?
Yes,
would he come back in?
Exactly what it is. During that last scene where he's like shooting him a whole bunch of times and he's laying on the ground before he actually sticks him in the electrical wires. Yeah. So far as we know, he's like,
what
basically...
What about up the nose? What about in the ears?
He's basically an agent, like, because he's
What
like
if you
stronger
shot him
and
in the
smarter and
dick?
stuff. Except then he has, well, there's skin there, so it's probably titanium too, I guess. If we just
For the
take it,
ladies.
well, if we just take it straight, where the way that they say it, where it's just yes, well, it's titanium somehow, and we're not going to deal with it. It makes no sense because they're even going to have the scientist guys say they got that to work, and they just sort of gloss over it because he's like it's hard like titanium, but it's flexible, and it's like, how does that work? You can't have it both ways. If he can still move, it can't be that hard. And yeah, what about his eyes? What about places where it's not just covered with skin? Shoot him in the eyes. Like, really?
Yeah.
And yeah, the electricity, like, we didn't say there was anything special. I mean, if anything, actually, I can't remember offhand if titanium is electrically conductive or not. But if it's not, it makes no difference, and he just electrocutes like a regular person. And if it is, it conducts the electricity, and it kills him more.
Yeah.
So he should be dead. It's dumb that he's not. And also, if he's so tough and special, why does he lose the fight in the subway station? Because he loses badly to 47.
Yes.
And at that point, there's no reason for him to not, because if he just takes him out right there, then there's no trouble for him. It doesn't. There's no reason for him to keep his identity secret once he gets the agent out of the way.
Well, see, it's not even that. It's just like if he was trying to keep his identity secret. From who? Because there was nobody else down there.
Well, from the girl, I guess, so she trusts him.
He already told her to run on, like, go and take this, and that's why he held Agent 47 off, so she could get to that area. And then, like, after Agent 47,
she wouldn't have seen it anyway.
Exactly. So it really wouldn't have mattered. So, like, that's a whole.
I don't really understand him being titanium and all, why it's so hard for him to kill 47, because he's not titanium at all. So he should just be able to kill him.
It's not about the body, it's about the mind.
Yeah, that doesn't stop you from getting shot.
Exactly.
Unless you have, like, telekinesis or something, which
like the
nobody
Matrix.
does. Or Sylar.
Or Superman.
Superman doesn't have telekinesis.
No, but he's bulletproof.
Yeah, but that's his body, not his mind. So, this movie is a mess. It's a big mess.
It's fun to watch, though. It is fun to watch.
It's fun to watch for a while, and then it's like, this is just a mess. Like, what is happening? Whose side am I on? Why do I care they're fighting? I don't even know anymore. But it is well made. It's important to say it is well made, and it has good action, but it's just like, that's all there is.
Well, okay, so Hitman's a video game. This is supposed to be based off of the video game kind of story, and that's fine. You can have movies based off of video games, but when you have the movie, you have to treat the movie as a movie, not as a video game. And I think that's another one of these problems that this movie had. Was there was dialogue in it that didn't make sense because it makes more sense for a video game and not a movie. And then that dialogue just, like, when they actually say it, it contradicts itself without any further explanation, because there's other agents, and we know there's other agents, and we are supposed to know, if you play the games, that Agent 47 is a clone. And so at the very end of this movie, when Agent 48 is like, oh, it looks just like me because it's Agent 48, who is a clone, like, how many of these clones were there really? What were their numbers from his generation of clones? Because, there's still going to be 46 before him, and they've already killed 13.
Yeah, but we don't know which numbers.
And so you have that.
But then we also have her, because it's important to remember her. Because
who's
she
supposed to
is
be
90. So
yeah, and so that's like a lot of fucking people. But they even talked about how they managed to capture other agents. So did these other agents, were they not clones of him? It's just one of those things where it's something they've tried putting in the movie that needed explanation, but it didn't do anything for the movie at all.
No, they do a lot of explaining, really awkward explanation during the sort of opening, where it's like, and then the scientists, and they did this and they did that, and it's really over explained without really giving us anything that's going to help for the rest of the movie. So is she like, how long did it take them to start making her? Is she the only? I guess she's the only her, right? Because they made her specifically as a kid for the scientist and his wife. But then why did they still number her?
Well, see, that's the thing. I don't even really know if the
She doesn't have a barcode.
Well, like the group of people, the scientists who made the agents, I don't really think they were involved in making her. I think like the guy who was on the run, I think he just did that on his own using what they learned prior. Because it's one of those things where it's like, okay, well, they obviously use the same type of cloning technology that they use on 47.
Well, and they did it while they were at the lab still, because she's like 4 years old or something when they run off from the lab. So he must have done it very carefully to keep it secret from the other scientists.
Probably.
Because it wasn't his project. They say he was the lead scientist, but it wasn't up to him. And he says, we broke all the rules to make her because we couldn't have a kid. And we made her so she could survive because reasons. And which took them a long time to get to. Because for a long time, she's just really having, like... Okay, even that. So suppose she has... Because
she was an entry-level RPG character who took the wrong path because of a game glitch and got to, like, the level 90 section. And it's just like, so we're going to have to, like, grind, super carefully.
Because she has heightened perception.
What?
That's what they say. She has heightened perception, so it's based on what you can do as a person. It's just better. So how is she like seeing into buildings and stuff to see what's going on when she isn't there?
It's like, oh, well, because you can hear and see things better, it'll help you predict the future. It's like, how?
But you still have to see stuff. Like, great, you can see better. You still have to see in the first place for it to be better. And it's like she knows that there's like a crime of some kind happening up in that building. And so she sets off the police bell. It's like, how did you see? Because now I don't know if she just heard it and sort of pieced it together, or and that just showing it is just for our purposes. But it's represented as if she can see it because she goes back through her memory and like looks around to see which security camera she must have missed when they know that they're in the country. So it seems as if she's seeing it.
Yeah.
I don't know how.
Well, I don't know. I don't really think she's seeing it as much as it's like that's because like it's a movie based off of a video game. So it's like one of those, special you've unlocked this ability kind of techniques thing. It's like, okay, so we gotta sneak in, so we're gonna make all of the people who are not hostile blue, and that's why there's all those blue cars, and all the hostile people are gonna be red. So we gotta like find a way to avoid the red people. It's stuff like that. It's like, okay, we can hear stuff going on, and so if we focus on what we can hear, we'll have a visual for it, and it's just not really necessary. Like, there's ways they could have kept that in the movie without showing it to us like that. It's like, okay, is she looking through these walls? Because we know she can hear it. That's fine if she can hear it. I mean, it's just, if you can hear something loud, you can just hear something loud. And if she has heightened hearing, then she has heightened hearing. But no matter how heightened your vision is, you're not going to see through a brick wall.
In a direction that you're not looking.
Exactly. So like you could just take that and have it where she can like get like that editing, audio editing technique where it's like all those sounds kind of piled together, and then she had to filter through them in her own mind. And then as she like, okay, so we see her standing there and she's looking around, she doesn't see anything, she hears it, she's filtering it through, and then like it focuses on what she's been trying to hear, which is that lady getting beat by the guy in the apartment, and then have her facing that direction that she can hear. She doesn't see him, but like then have like the camera in the apartment like facing out the window, so we know she is looking in the right direction, and then she can turn it on. So we still see what happened, but it's not like, oh, we're seeing it because of like magic powers and shit. Because that's what it looks like.
It seems like it's magic because it's like, okay, so you took a person, like you took human DNA and you like changed this and you changed that, and now it's magic.
Yep. And then like her ability to gain these skills, which do take time to learn and to actually grow on you. It's just like you can't just take a gun, pick it up, and it's like, oh, Like, yeah, and it's just like, oh, well, now that I can hear and see better and like I can figure this stuff out, I'm going to be able to shoot this 45, this custom made 45 for Agent 47, and then just like, oh yeah, I can just totally do this without even like, oh, whatever. I've been doing it my whole life. Like, no.
Yeah, I did that everything apart from how it looks is terrible, but I do like that they did a good job of being like, all right, here he is, here's his suit, here's his red tie, here's his special pistols and his knives, and he's bald and stuff. So they do a good job of sort of making it look like the game, but then,
well, even when they had him like introed, like they had him really like shadowed out, so you could see him, but you couldn't see facial features, just like they would on the video.
You can kind of see the tie. And so you know it's him. But now, what was that about? That part at the beginning where he's talks to the guy and he's like, you have information and I need it. And then he doesn't actually get the information really. And then he blows him up. I mean, he gives him the sort of code to the database, but then that never comes back. He never uses it for anything. So I don't really know what he was after.
That's what he used to access the computers for the locations. That's whenever he was staying in the hotel, and then he had the facial recognition on the laptop. And then he decided to take to sleep.
Oh, I thought that was his own facial recognition.
No, like that it was searching for her.
Well, yeah,
so
but I didn't know.
He used the database to pull up what they were using, and then just put it for the location that he was like, "Where's she at?" Yeah, that's what that was.
What? Since she doesn't know who the scientist guy is, she doesn't know that it's her father, and she doesn't know his name. She knows like his exact height and weight and where he lived at a particular time and his age and stuff. But what started her looking for him?
Yeah.
If she didn't know who or why. Because they don't tell us, do they?
Like, how did she forget?
I don't know. I guess she was like really young, or I don't know. They never really deal with it. Well, she looked old enough to remember her father.
Well, like, what was she, 8? Because I could have swore she was 8 years old when he put her in the grate, and then he ran off because they were chasing him.
Was she that old?
I thought she was 8.
Did they say that? I don't remember. Maybe she was.
I don't know. Maybe they just had somebody who looked like they were 8. Because she didn't look 4.
Must have been younger than that. Well, maybe 4 is a little young, but she was pretty young though. I think. Yeah, maybe it's like bad casting of an older kid or something. But.
Yeah, maybe. And then that wouldn't be the story's fault as much as it is just the casting fault.
Even if she was 4, she should still remember her father. Probably.
Well, oh no, that young,
especially since she has like heightened perception and stuff. Like,
well, that's the thing. Is
did
like,
that come about later 4, or what?
Also, don't know because they never talked about it. Like at 4 years old, she probably wouldn't have known his name, especially if she went by something else. But she should have remembered his face because heightened senses and shit. It's like, I remember, like, oh, he was this tall and he weighed this much, and this is what his face looked like, and I can draw it better than this ridiculous picture.
Yeah, well, and she's hanging, so she remembers all that. She remembers all that exact stuff, but she's sort of hanging out there in the lab as a kid. The other scientists are not calling him Dad. They must be calling him his name. Surely she would have heard his name at some point and been like, heightened senses, I remember a name.
Yeah.
But no.
More holes.
So many holes.
I did like the dad, like when they went to Singapore and they're like, oh yeah. Well, we finally pieced it together and he's in Singapore, and so we're going to find him. And you're going to promise me not to kill my dad. Okay, I promise. Even though, like, because that was the thing. It's like there's even more like hits. And then like the agency that does all the hits is putting out more hits, and they're using 48 clone and all this other business. Wow.
Which they put together really quickly because he throws his phone off the roof and doesn't confirm the second kill. But up till that point, the agency doesn't know that anything's wrong. And then like 15 seconds later, Agent 48 shows up.
Yeah, well, it's like he's like, oh, okay, what's his name? The director of the Syndicate International program or whatever. like he was the original hit, but they never said anything about putting a hit on him. It was about putting the hit on the daughter and about the the agent of the syndicate. Like, that's the only hits we hear.
They've tried to hit the boss before, and everybody just dies. So I guess they're trying to get the henchman guy first, so that they can try to get to him. But
and when did he have time to put an explosive in the inhaler? I like the fact that they put an explosive in the inhaler because it was very incognito. Just like, oh yeah, he's got lung cancer and he uses an inhaler all the time. Here you go.
Yeah, it really was. Yeah, we never saw. He steals it from the kid, or
he
trades it for a knife.
He trades it, yeah. And you know what? I'm sure that kid rather had that knife.
Yeah.
And yet again, she's tied. Instead of just being like, hey, wake up, we're going to do something drastic.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's still a test. I don't know when the testing stops. The test. Well, remember, everything's a test, and it never stops. Yes, but shouldn't it at some point stop? Like, he's not being tested by anyone. It's not fair of him to keep testing her forever, anyway.
You know, at least in the other Hitman movie, they had like a really hot Russian chick in it.
So you're not all about Agent 90 then?
No, I'm not. I'm not. She ain't my cup of tea.
Apparently, the Syndicate International has like an office building and stuff. So they're like the evil corporation of evil with like an obviously evil public name.
Yeah, like why would anyone even want to do that just in general? You know, it'd be different. It's kind of like in
Syndicate International.
Yeah. It's like syndicates are normally evil. Yeah, but we're a good syndicate. Yeah. I'm not. I don't think I want to risk it. But what was like in the game, that one company? What were they called?
Oh, I don't remember.
Well, like how they had like those, like the initials, like how they had the initials for stuff, but you could like put those initials to other things. Like, if it was something more like that, where it's like they have a real name and the real name is terribly evil and it sounds evil, but the initials can be applied to like other things that sound more business related, then like that would be fine.
Yeah, well, like the company in the game, where it's just
I just said that.
You didn't say the game. Oh, the game. The game. Not the game, like not Hitman the game. Okay. Because see, we're talking about a movie that's based on a game, and I was trying to remember what was the corporation the Hitman, like one of the Hitman games called. It was CRS. CRS was in the game. See, stupid movie title for stupid movie. Can't even talk about it without knowing what we're talking about. Or without not knowing what we're talking about. The game. What is that like independently suspended jet turbine thing for? Except to suck the bad guys up into it.
I can see the first one. It's like, oh, well, it's in like a testing room where we can turn it on and test things in a closed environment. But like all that other stuff, like those guys were killed very video game-esque style. Like they weren't even just getting shot. Like, oh yeah, we're gonna like have this guy get chopped up with a grinder. We're gonna have these guys get smashed with like a pair of gigantic robotic clamps. It's like, wow, this is terrible. Amusing.
Well, and that's to show off her perception powers too, because he's like, tell me when. It's like, she can't see it. How does she know when?
Like, how do you even know that button is going to make, like, this stuff clamp together? Like, what if you hit it and all it does is, like, cause everything to start going backwards or something?
Well, he dragged her to that facility, and she was unconscious for some time. So I guess there's this whole part we didn't see where he goes around just pressing buttons and seeing what they do so that he knows
reading
what
the
to
instruction
do for later.
manuals.
Yeah, he's just got a giant manual. Just waiting for her to wake up, just paging through the manual for the factory. Why do the bad guys show up at the factory? How do they know where they are?
I don't even know.
Because they just show up, and he's just like, well, it's time for testing. And maybe he told them where they were. I don't even know.
I don't know. Maybe she just needed to level up.
Well, it really is that, isn't it? It really is
yeah.
There are a lot of things that are very video gamey that make no sense otherwise. And that probably if they happen in a video game, I would be like, that's kind of gamey. And I kind of don't like, really? Because he has the fight in the building with the other set of bad guys for the guy that he gets the information from and then blows up in his weapons cabinet. That the security system goes off because he blows up, like the explosives blow up the guy, and so it sets off the regular security system, which apparently means there's going to be nothing but strobe lights because that'll help us fight the security threat.
Yeah.
And it's just so, I mean, it looks great. It's like he comes in and out of the shadows and he like shoots a guy and the strobe light flashes and the guy hits the railing in a really violent way. But it makes no sense that anybody would make a security system like that.
Yeah, unless they were all DJs.
Well,
it's like, yeah, I'm a DJ, but I also install security systems, you know. It's a more stable job. But, you know, sometimes I get my jobs mixed up. Yeah, and that's why you have a disco ball hanging from your ceiling.
and that's
At least it keeps it festive.
Festive.
Yeah.
Disco is not festive.
Disco itself is not festive, but you know, you don't have to have music on to enjoy a disco ball.
Okay, so she gets fidgety during the night when she's nervous and takes apart his pistols. It's like, you should not have done that. He's like, don't do that again. It's like, yeah, what? So you're scared, which is why you're going to have like a nervous habit of taking stuff apart. And because you're scared, you're going to take apart the pistols that will protect you from things that you're scared of.
Well, I want to know why she had to take apart both of them.
Yeah, both pistols? Really?
Yeah, it's just like, oh, I got to make things extra complicated because I have issues. Like, at least just take apart one and then put it back together and then take it apart and then put it back together and take it apart and then put it back together and then stop taking it apart because it's not doing you any good except being really fucking annoying.
Now, what happened to his duffel bag of weapons that he had earlier? Did they not make it into Singapore with that?
I guess. I don't know. Maybe he still left them in the embassy.
Oh, that was a really great scene, though. That was a good moment when he goes through security at the embassy and he puts the case down and it goes through the X-ray machine and it's obviously a sniper rifle and the security guard guy is like he gets this look on his face like what? And then, just like he had no, like he was not disguising it at all. He's just like, what? It's a sniper rifle, and I'm gonna beat your face in.
Yeah. But we're gonna wait for that because I need to get inside first.
Yeah. I mean that interrogator guy is an idiot though. He's like, I'm just gonna be really arrogant and bring your like weapons and ammunition in, and just so I can dramatically set a bullet down on the table. He's like, you brought me my weapons. I'm like, yeah, you did, and you're an idiot. Like, you don't bring weapons into an interrogation room.
You know, but I do, I probably will for all time love that silly one-liner about I'm not locked in here with you, you're locked in here with me. Like, you're kind of locked in there together,
yeah.
But it's like we all know that when that's said, shit's about to hit the fan.
Yeah.
And that's a really heavy fucking table, and he just kicks it enough to like cause the gun to lift up at the right angle, and of course, hair trigger, it goes off and it breaks the chain. Like, all right, yeah. Someone does not skip leg day. And that shit about like her having to untie herself, like that's just a standard little wooden chair. Like all you gotta do is break it. Just like kind of stand up and fall down on it really hard at an angle so the legs break. And then now you just got like a pile of wood with rope tied to it and you can just like walk off now.
Well,
and because that thing is starting to like suck that air in, so it's causing her to slide back. Like that was the thing that got me, is whenever she just kind of flips up and just suspends herself in the air for a second. Like, yeah, I'm pretty sure that would start pulling you in.
Yeah, because now you're presenting a lot more surface area for air, and you don't have. Yeah, it's dumb.
Like, you've died. You just died because you were trying to be fancy.
Just died.
Just stand up, fall in the chair, break it, and escape. And he probably would have went, I guess that works.
They really are doing like as she learns stuff. Like, it really is, I know Kung Fu. Like, it really is. Because she just suddenly had, like, she levels up really quickly for no reason. Just because she's pushed to it. I think Probably you'd have a lot greater chance of breaking a standard chair than she would, though. Because I don't know if she just has perception or what, because she has unexplained powers.
Well, I mean, she doesn't have to worry about unexplained fucking gravity, and it's a wood chair being dropped at an angle with weight. I did say straight down. If you do it straight down, it's difficult. If you do it at an angle, it puts all the weight forcefully on two legs that can't suspend it, and so it causes it to break where it's connected over by the seat.
Maybe.
That's why you tie people up to metal chairs.
Yeah.
It's not fucking hard. If you're going to go kidnap somebody and tie them to a chair, get a real fucking metal chair, not some wood piece of shit, and do it right.
Well, but see, the thing is that she's supposed to be able to escape. He sets it up so that it's possible. Because it's not like he couldn't tie her up where she could not escape. But
well, he obviously didn't use a metal chair.
No, because then she would have died in a jet turbine.
And that would have been the best part of the movie. So we wouldn't have to deal with her. We wouldn't have to deal with like dad dying of lung cancer. It could have just been like, okay, well now we're just gonna have Syndicate versus Agency and action. Nobody's having to learn anything. Now we just got to shoot everybody and see who's the last one standing. Not Agent 46. That guy, he exploded. They had RPGs. That shit was cray.
What?
Huh?
What?
That's right. That's how the movie should have ended. Not sucking. At least they did have like the helicopter explosion. I was okay with that. Oh, yeah, I'm Agent 48, and I'm going to come out of the elevator without guns in my hands pointed at people I plan to shoot. No, of course not. That's why I got shot and died.
Well,
not because they're the heroes of this movie. No, because I'm Agent 48, and I can't do shit right.
Then he's one better. Doesn't he have to win?
No, not necessarily. I mean, it doesn't matter what your number is. If you step on a landmine...
well...
and it explodes.
They didn't have any of those.
No matter how trained you are, no one is landmine proof.
Well, except probably Sylar.
Yeah.
Because he's got titanium or some dumb... It's like, really? Liquid titanium? That's the best you can do?
At least it's not unobtainium. It's
it's not.
It's unobtainable.
Although
under my skin.
It basically is, because titanium does not maintain its hardness while being liquid, so... It's not your father's titanium.
Yeah. How does he not bleed when he gets shot, though?
He does bleed a little bit. Because he gets shot when they think they kill him the first time, and you think he's killed because he does kind of bleed. But, there's a little bit of blood, it just kind of in your skin. But then I guess there... Also, like, how can he possibly, like, there's no way his skin can breathe with titanium.
Science!
No! Bad science.
It's bad science. I mean, like, science says no.
Science does. Science sees your science and says, what?
At least, Wolverine's bones make more scientific sense. It's like, yeah, the bones are still there. We just covered them up. We just covered them with metal. There's probably some holes here and there, so, blood cells can come out of the marrow back into the body and stuff. And, regeneration because mutants, not like super perspective genetic altering bullshit. Agent 90, my ass.
I mean, it's a shame to, like, that they tried this once before and then they tried again and made it worse.
The first time was better. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, of course, I guess Fantastic Four did the same thing, except they made one and it wasn't that good, and then they made one and it was worse, and then they made another one and it's the worst thing ever. Apparently, I haven't actually seen the most recent one, but I don't particularly have any intention of doing so because apparently it's really not worth the time or trouble.
No, not really.
But it's like...
Unless you're in it for the hot Russian chick.
I mean, no, I'm... Fantastic Four.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm not watching that either.
I know. Yeah. But it's... I'm pretty sure I saw the first Hitman. I don't remember much about it, but I'm pretty sure that I did. I didn't go to see it, but I'm pretty sure I have seen it. Like, what is it? Why is it so hard to make a video game movie?
Well, see, that's the thing, is I think people who try to make a video game movie forget that they're making a movie, and they try to just film stuff that happened in video games.
I guess.
Because I love playing games, and I do enjoy a lot of movies that originate from games. And so I did like, the first Mortal Kombat. I do like the little stuff they make out of that. I enjoy Jean-Claude Van Damme in Street Fighter. I like that stuff. But I know
has problems.
Yeah, but I'm not saying they're good. I'm saying I enjoy them. But they have this new Street Fighter, which it doesn't suck. It is a 2.5 hour long movie based off of a video game, but it doesn't play like a video game. It plays like a movie. Mm-hmm. So they have proper timing, the way things play out, the stuff to keep you interested. Now there's callbacks to, it's like, oh wow, yeah, like there's this little bit that's from the video game and this little bit that's from the video game. But of course, Street Fighter being just a fighting game, a lot of that stuff you have to kind of do on your own. And even though they can make it, it doesn't feel like you're watching a video game. And so it's a huge improvement compared to a lot of other movies of the same style.
Yeah. Well, and things like this, where it's just, oh, look, strobe light fight, and she levels up, and look at the, Batman Detective Vision thing that's happening, and it's just like, yeah, they really are, instead of just saying, oh, hey, somebody had a good idea when they made this video game. This story is interesting. Let's do something with that. They do just sort of try to... They don't make... It's not, this is a movie based on the video game. This is a video game movie. So...
Yeah.
So what about stars?
I don't really know. I want to give it 2 stars. Because it has so many problems, and I might never watch it again. But if someone wanted to see it, I'd still watch it with them.
I've been really, really struggling with wanting to say that it's so busted and makes no sense, and it should just be 1 star. But some of the action is pretty good.
Yeah, I do enjoy watching it. But I don't want to say.
I mean, it's like we Shiny is not good enough to make something really good, but at least Shiny is something, because some things are terrible and make no sense and are not even shiny.
Yeah.
Like the butterfly effect. And ecstasy.
Oh, God.
So, I mean, because that's the pass that we gave Interstellar, is like, it makes no sense, but it's really shiny, and that's kind of nice. So,
yeah, I think I'll stick with the strong 2 stars. Because
I think I'll say a weak 2 stars, but
because I'll probably never watch it again, and that's okay.
Probably not.
But if someone asks, I might just give them a little of my time and suffer through it with them until they decide to stop watching it and we do something else, and then I'll totally be for it.
Well, that's all we have to say about Hitman. We'll see you next week.
Later.
How many people were at yours?
3. There was 3 total.
Okay. Yeah, because mine was about probably 10 or so by the time it started.
Yeah, there was me, one guy who sat 2 rows down, and 1 chair to the left directly in front. Oh, well, I guess it's not completely directly in front. And then there was 1 dude who sat all the way in the front right there by the rail. And I was just like, why do people sit by the rail? I mean, it's not even like he put his feet up. There was no, he just sat there by the rail.
No. People do that. I don't understand it. Because I'm in there, I'm sitting 1/3 into the theater in the dead center in the optimal position because nobody else was there yet. And then, the next set of people comes in. It was a man and a woman, and they come in and they sit on the far left on the row, right at the rail. And they're okay, you can't sit right where I'm sitting, but there's still lots of way better spots than that. Like, why do you pick there? And I see people do that. People come in, they sit on the ends, like on the ends. Like, why would you sit on the ends when there's plenty of space in the theater?
Because their dad, when they grew up, their dad always took the good spot on the sofa, and they had to sit on the end, so it's just natural for them. But yeah, agreed. That's ridiculous.
I don't understand.
No, I try to sit like in the dead center of the screen, and if I can't get the dead center because of the way the chairs are positioned in the theater, because the different theaters of the different
Yeah, sometimes it's between
rooms.
two chairs.
Yeah, and I'll go up one.
Well, no,
Like,
you don't sit in the middle row. You sit in the middle of the row, but
Yeah.
like a little bit towards the back. I mean, it depends. You have to sort of gauge it. I say 1/3 in. That's sort of general, but it depends on the size of the screen. Because sometimes they in this case, I guess either they had moved it in the first couple of days since the opening weekend, since it wasn't popular and wasn't doing well, or they thought to start with, this is not going anywhere, and they put it like way at the far end of the hall in one of the smallest. So it was a smaller screen, but so it kind of throws off like the height of the screen relative to the floor. But
well, the funny thing is in the theater I go to, there's two main rooms. There is the first main room, which is whenever you pay for your ticket and you go in, and there's the little booth thing, and they take your ticket and tell you where to go. Like, there's the door that's right there, and that's normally for like, this is where all the major movies that are new released are going to go first. But there is the second main room, which is all the way down the hall on the left. And there's 4 rooms there on like that far left, like all the way down. And those 4 rooms were all renovated. So they're all those rooms have the new chairs. Like they've got the new seatings. They got like that whole thing that they are the updates. And this movie was in one of those rooms. That like they even have like the bathrooms nearby and the exit door. And so like a lot of times all of the good movies that are getting pushed down because of the new release movies always go there. Like the new Mission Impossible was there, Minions was there. I forget what the other one of the 4 was. And then it was this one. And I'm just like, well, this seems a little bit odd.
Yeah,
like,
because it just came out, but it's already pushed into this we don't care.
No, like, the we don't care is on like the right side of the building.
What was playing there?
Like, I don't know what's playing on the right side of the building. I barely go down there.
Because you don't care.
Because I don't care.
No one cares.
Yeah. Like, the only times I've ever been down there was normally right when a movie, like if a movie only has like 1 or 2 showings left. Like, because it's like instead of playing it like 8 times during the day, they only play it like once or twice. And so they use that theater for like 3 different movies that they play throughout the day. Like that, like there's some of those rooms that are down there. And there was one movie that I watched, and there was a guy, like the previous movie had just ended, and they had the lights on, and there was a guy in there cleaning, but they still had the room open. So I just went in there and sat down, and they were playing the credits of the movie that had just ended because nobody was in there at all. Yeah. Like that, I think, and it was, it's one of those things. But even like the special events, like all the good stuff, if it's not the first one right when you get in, they're always down there on the right, on the left. They're always down on the left. And that was just the thing that got me. It's like, this would not be one of those movies that would go all the way down on the left. Like, this is one of those movies that would have went to the right.
It probably will be.
Yeah.
In a few days.